Berend, my first question for you today is AI and its impact on HR and the workforce.
Yes.
And what we might do is break it down into a few different categories, and we might first talk about AI around performance, then how does that help people's happiness in their jobs, and then finally we might talk about compliance. So first part, AI and performance. Do you want to speak a little bit further about that, please?
Yeah, that's something we see a lot with our customers and a lot in the market out there. Because traditionally there has been a lot of focus on especially compliance and performance and less so on employee happiness. But that is not because organizations didn't want to. It's more that it's very hard for humans to actually make decisions which are good for all those three dimensions: performance, happiness and compliance, taking all the different considerations and using all of the information and then making the right decision. That's very hard. And that's where AI solutions can really help and support. So when you look at performance, it could be how many people do I need actually next week or in 4 weeks or in 8 weeks? And how can I predict that? And what kind of people do I need? What kind of skills and what time of the day? And that's where AI solutions can actually utilize a lot of that historical information, find patterns in there, and then help make a prediction. And that prediction can go into a lot of detail, or it can be more high level. That depends on the type of organization. But AI solutions can really make sense of all that information. And that's very hard for humans to do. Humans typically do that based on gut feel, which is not a bad thing because a lot of gut feel comes out of experience. But where gut feel sometimes goes wrong is when there's a change of situation. And that's what AI solutions actually do pick up, because they see those changes in situations. They take that gut feel out of it. They take some of that instinct out of it. Then present a solution, but that solution can then still be confirmed and accepted by the actual experts who do have that gut feel, because they can look at it and say, that looks right or that looks wrong.
Sure. So you're not taking humans out of the equation?
No, not yet. Yes.
So from a people's perspective, how can this data and how can these AI make someone happier?
Yeah. So employee happiness is another one of those things which is very topical at the moment, because employees staff expect that they can work the times they want to work, not when they need to work. Of course, there's always a balance, but staff want more to say about when they want to work. And employee happiness is all about adhering to those preferences, adhering to someone actually is working 2 jobs. So therefore you need to make sure that you adhere to their preferences, or they have 2 part-time jobs, or they have soccer training, or they need to pick up the kids at specific times.
Yes.
And all those preferences, to take all of those into consideration, that's also where AI solutions play a big role. What we see in the market and what we see with our customers is that sometimes organizations are very good at that, but that's typically because there's a couple of individuals who are very good at it. But there's also a lot of favoritism which comes into play there, right? So, I know you really well, Jared, and I know that you have that soccer practice, so I will make sure that you do not work at that time. But then new staff members come in and they might not have the same relationship with the person who actually makes the decision. That's not very fair. So actually using AI solutions, one of the things it does as well is it actually takes out a lot of the bias, a lot of the unfairness out of it, because everyone gets weighted the same. Everyone has the same, for the algorithm, whether it's you or one of your colleagues, it's the same for the algorithm.
Yes.
They're just different preferences.
Yes.
And that fairness is very important as well, to actually make sure that there is no favoritism, to make sure that there is no politics and no friends of the people who actually make those decisions, who then get a better plan out of that.
Great. No, that makes a lot of sense. So from an overall perspective, I know certainly in Australia at the moment there is a lot of media and a lot of media attention around compliance.
Yeah.
Employers not doing the right thing, either mostly it's actually by accident. It's not that employers are setting out to do the wrong thing, but there are so many rules, there is so much to do with compliance. So how can AI help
Yeah.
compliance and help employers and employees know that they're doing the right thing?
Yeah, that's a very important point, because what you just said is that they don't do it on purpose quite often, right? It's not that they're non-compliant because they knew what the rule was and therefore broke it. It's
Yes.
also sometimes the rules are very complex, but also the rules are changing very rapidly. All of the different countries across the world are introducing new legislation. There's new legislation in the United States, predictive scheduling laws. There is regulations coming in the EU, which actually say how far ahead you need to give someone their work roster and what you can do with it and not. And then in Australia, all the award rules, which are and EBAs, enterprise bargaining agreements, which are continuously changing.
Yes.
They're very hard, and that's actually what AI and computers are really good at, actually interpreting those rules and applying those rules and telling you whether you're doing it right or wrong. But also when you make those decisions, immediately getting feedback, hey, you might be actually violating a rule here. Are you sure? Then it's still up to the person to say yes or no, but at least you got warned about it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Berend. Thank you for talking about AI and its impacts on HR and the workforce.
No problem. Thank you, Jared.